Last week I was watching a movie, The Magnificent Seven. Every once in a while, I don't know if by accident or if the writers knew what they were talking about, inserted a story there's a lot of truth to it. Well, a guy fell off a 5-story building, and as he was going down to the 4th floor, he said, "So far, so good." He got to the 3rd floor. So far, so good. Got to the 2nd floor. So far, so good. He ended up dying. And we are all associated with that story. Only we're going around the sun. Go around the sun for 2 years. So far, so good. 4 years. So far, so good. You go to 8 years. So far, so good. You turn 16. So far, so good. You turn 32, so far so good. Before you know it, you're looking at 70, if not already in it. So this is talking about worry. Scott Peck begins The Road Less Traveled with the statement, "Life is difficult." He continues, he says, "This is a great truth, one of the greatest truths. It is a great truth because once you truly see this truth, we transcend it. Once we truly know that life is difficult, once we truly understand and accept it, then life is no longer difficult. Because once it has been accepted, the fact that life is difficult no longer matters." Most do not fully see this truth. Instead, they moan more or less noisily or about the enormity of their problems, their burdens, their difficulties, as if life were generally easy, as if life should be easy. They voice their belief that their difficulties represents a unique kind of affliction that should not be, that somehow has been especially visited upon them. Trouble and difficulty comes to everyone. People at every level of society live life in a minor key. Sickness, suffering, disease, and death afflict both the rich and poor. Job suffered deeply and cried, "Man is born into trouble." In Job 5 verse 7, "Yet man is born unto trouble as the sparks fly upward." In Psalm 71 verse 20, "Thou which hast showed me great and sore troubles shall quicken me again, and shall bring me up again from the depth of the earth." Anyone can confirm this pessimistic diagnosis. A family confronted with the loss of a mother and wife from cancer. Others have artificial knees and elbows, and some even envy them because their physical discomfort is so great. I've seen these things and must agree that there are troubles, many and bitter. Chapter 1 of James deals with the practical problem of difficulties and troubles. Problems abound that cause us to ask, why me? Why this? Why now? James challenges us with the amazing admonition, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whether you face trials of many kinds." James chapter 1 verse 2. "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that trying of your faith works patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of Yahweh, that gives to all men liberally and unupbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavers is like a wave of the sea driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted, but the rich in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away. For the sun is no sooner risen with a burning heat, but it withers the grass, and the flower thereof falls, and the grace of the fashion of it perishes. So also shall the rich man fade away in his ways. Blessed is the man that endures temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to them that love him. And then in verse 13 to 16, with temptations to evil, James 1 verse 13, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Yahweh. For Yahweh cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away in his own lust and enticed. Then when lust has conceived, it brings forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, brings forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. We must distinguish between tests and temptations. Yahweh does not always cause our trials, but he allows them to strengthen our faith. Temptations often come from Satan to cause us sin. In James 1 verse 2, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that trying of your faith works patience, but let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. There's two truths that must be understood about troubles. James says whenever you face trials, not if. Troubles are not elective, but a part of the core curriculum of life. There are trials of many kinds. James uses a word meaning multicolored because of the intensity and variety of problems. They may involve the pain of a lingering illness or an untimely death. Some know the heartaches of a broken marriage or short-circuited romance. Trouble may come from a rebellious child or an alcoholic loved one. Some struggle with problems in business or with health. Others combat lingering depressions or habits that seem unbreakable. Our trials are many-colored indeed. We don't know the purpose in much of our pain. In times of trouble, we even feel abandoned by Yahweh. But James says that trials are the evidence that Yahweh is at work. And Paul agreed in 2 Corinthians 4:17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, works for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. Trouble is working for us, not against us. The specific purpose is that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. James 1:3, knowing this, that the trying of your faith works patience. The Greek word hypomone, I believe it's pronounced, means literally to remain under. This is the ability to remain under pressure without collapsing, to cope successfully with a strain or stress. Such perseverance requires time. Don't interfere with Yahweh's plan for your life. Hang in there so that his plan for you will be complete. This is the difficult part. When Yahweh's fingers squeezes, they hurt. But they shape and mold us to mature faith. Our goal is growing believers is spiritual maturity. We don't seek troubles, but we rejoice in them because their dividends are greater than the discomforts they bring. Yahweh is much more devoted to our character than our comfort. We will eventually leave behind everything we have except for our character. It's been said, our values determine our evaluations. If we value comfort more than character, then trials will upset us. If we value the material and physical more than the spiritual, we will not be able to count it all joy. If we live only for the present and forget the future, then trials will make us bitter, not better. Several years ago, Bobby McFerrin made a very popular suggestion with his song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to sing it note for note. Don't worry, be happy. In every life we have some trouble, but when you worry, you make it double. Then he goes on to say, ain't got no place to lay your head. Somebody came to took your bed. Don't worry. Landlord says your rent is late. You may have to litigate. Don't worry, be happy. Now, James doesn't offer a mindless exhortation to just grin and bear it, nor does he call for a stoic resignation. He makes 4 suggestions for dealing successfully with trouble. James 1:2, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. Our hurts and difficult circumstances are part of Yahweh's plan to help us grow. We should thank Him for what they do in our lives. Life is difficult. Suffering is going to happen. But misery is an option. Gary Vanderit tells an intriguing story of 2 men who were once both seriously ill at the same small room in the hospital. One of the men, as part of his treatment, was allowed to sit up in bed for an hour in the afternoon in order to drain fluid from his lungs. His bed was next to a window. The other man had to spend all of his time flat on his back. One of the disadvantages of their condition was that they weren't allowed to do much. No reading, no TV or radio. They were allowed no visitors, so it was just the 2 of them having to keep quiet and still. They would sometimes talk for hours about their wives and their children and their homes, their jobs, their time in the war, and all sorts of things. Every afternoon when the man in the bed next to the window was propped up for his hours, he would pass the time by describing what he could see outside. And the other man began to live for those hours. The window apparently overlooked the park that had a lake with ducks and swans, and children threw them bread with sailed mottled boats. Young lovers walked hand in hand beneath the trees. There were flowers and stretches of grass, games of softball right at the back, behind the fringe of the trees with a fine view of the city skyline. The man on his back would listen to all of this, enjoying every minute. How a child nearly fell into the lake, or how beautiful the girls were in their summer dresses, or how a boy played with his puppy. He would almost see what was happening just outside that window. One afternoon, when his partner described a parade, he got to thinking, why should that man next to the window have all the pleasure of seeing what goes on? Why shouldn't he get a chance? He felt ashamed and tried not to think like that, but the more he tried, the worse he wanted a change. He'd do anything. After a few days, he had turned sour. He should be by the window, and he brooded and couldn't sleep, and he grew more seriously ill. One night, as he stared at the ceiling, the other man suddenly woke up, coughing and choking, fluid congested in his lungs. His hands groped for the button that would bring the night nurse to his aid, and the man in the next bed watched without moving. The coffin racked the darkness on, choked off, then stopped. The sound of breathing stopped. The man continued to stare at the ceiling. In the morning, the day nurse came in with water for their baths and found the other man dead. His body was taken away quietly with no fuss. As soon as it seemed decent, the man asked if he could be moved to the bed next to the window. They moved him, made him quite comfortable, and left him alone to be quiet and still. The minute they left, he painfully labored, propped himself up on one elbow, and looked out the window, and it faced a blank wall. Vanderit concludes, some people always seem to face a blank wall, and yet they know a beauty and joy in the midst of their pain that is enriching As a result, they make life come alive for those around them. They cultivate a joyful attitude. James 1 verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of Yahweh, and he gives to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. James uses wisdom in the Old Testament sense. Wisdom is truth acted upon, knowledge applied practically, the ability to live life successfully in the midst of difficult circumstances. It acknowledges Yahweh and is willing to understand his will. Yahweh gives generously to all, without earthly limitations. The Greek word translated generously, haplos, meant simply or straightforwardly, indicating that Yahweh gives with a single-minded, unhesitating concern for us. He yearns to give you the wisdom to make pure choices. Live expecting his benefits. James 1:6, but let him ask in faith, nothing wavering, for he that wavers is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. The double-minded person halts between two opinions. He is double-souled, with one soul declaring, I believe, while the other shouts, I don't. He is unstable in all he does. Indecisiveness makes him ineffective in every aspect of his life. He's unwilling to submit to Yahweh. He hasn't yielded total allegiance to Father Yahweh. He has never taken the posture of a trusting child. James says he must believe and not doubt, because he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. Every shifting wind of doctrine influences him. Each storm of opposition threatens his loyalty to Yahweh. Without an unwavering confidence in Yahweh, adversity creates doubt rather than submission. To James, faith is a commitment to the will of Yahweh. You may have heard about the mountain climber who slipped and fell off the ledge, and since he was climbing alone, he was utterly helpless. He began to cry, help, somebody help me. And the voice said, I'll help you. Trust me and let go. Frantically, he looked around and called, is anyone else up there? When Yahweh doesn't operate on our schedule, or his plan doesn't align with ours, we seek for another plan. Yahweh gives only to those who want whatever he gives. Are you willing to receive whatever he gives you? It may mean permanent singleness. It may mean continue in a difficult job situation or remaining unhealed. Maybe you lack wisdom because you're not sure if you want Yahweh's answer. James chapter 1 verse 9. Let the brother of low degree rejoice in that he is exalted, but the rich in that he is made low, because as the flower of the grass he shall pass away. For the sun is no sooner risen with a burning heat, but yet wherewith the grass and the flower thereof falls, and the grace of fashion of it perish, so also shall the rich man fade away in his ways. Life is so uncertain that tragedy and despair may strike at any time. We see that in Texas this past week. It's foolish to trust in anything, like wealth, that may be lost in a moment. It's only wise to trust in things that cannot be lost. The rich man himself will fade away even while it goes about his business. In the midst of this busy life, the end will come, and all his wealth will make no difference. Yahweh will bring him low in the end unless he humbles himself now. The poor who are believers have a high position in Yahweh's view, despite their lower state in the world. The wealthy may seem powerful now, but Yahweh will bring them low in the end, unless they humble themselves now. This is a complete reversal of status. James calls for a proper attitude towards material things. He understood the true nature of riches. They are so impertinent, like a lovely blossom so quickly destroyed by the burning sun and desert wind. Alec Montier comments, James chose to illustrate his theme by reference to poverty and wealth. He could have equally have chosen any of life's contrasts, loneliness and companionship, long married life and unexpected bereavement. These are the endless varied testings which make the colors of the tapestry of each life. Family life and childlessness, marriage and singleness, health and illness. There's no end to the list to be made and the contrast to be drawn. Life is like that. The wisdom of Yahweh makes us see earth in the light of heaven, life in the light of eternal life, the flickering pattern of experience in the light of the steady reality of salvation. And wisdom is sought from Yahweh in the place of prayer. The posture for such prayer requires humility. Wisdom is sought as we cultivate the perspective of eternity. In financial adversity, the poor brother humbly says, "How rich I am." And with his wealth, the rich brother must say, "But what a sinner I am." James 1 verse 12, blessed is the man that endures temptation, for when he is tried he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to them that love him. Trials are ordeals a believer must face with steadfast courage. Such things as illness and unpopularity, financial loss, sorrow, or even persecution. Those who persevere are approved. They stood the test. The word for stood the test, dokimos, appeared on pottery tested in the clin and approved. Dokimos approval is like the good housekeeping seal of approval. If a pot is cracked while being fired, it would be inscribed with a dokimos, disapproved. Yahweh's approval produces real happiness and real living. Blessed is the word for genuine happiness. This is more than a superficial joviality. It's an inner quality that endures even in times of trouble. The crown of life is not just an unclear reference to an uncertain future. Yeshua constantly spoke of the ultimate prize as a new quality of life. Life with a capital L. He said in John 10 verse 10, the thief comes not but to steal and to kill and to destroy. But I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. He said, I came that they might have and enjoy life, and have it more abundantly, to the full, till it overflows. Yeah, we bless you with that.